causes a better stimulation than when they do it individually. Basically what they're doing is they're exploding the rock below. So instead of doing one explosion, they're doing 3 explosions when they do this frack operation.
The simultaneous frack, okay.
Simultaneous, right. And that's what the point is. They're finding that there's a greater stimulation. Now your question was in regards to the emissions. And the emissions, I have calculated, I've identified, and we also have support through some other modeling that's been done, that these emissions can go as far as a mile.
Damn.
Yeah. It's way farther than what anybody anticipated. And when people call these things clouds, they're actually not, they should not be referred to as clouds. They should be referred to as chemical clouds, because that's what they are. These are chemical clouds. That's when you see anything comes out of there, it's not steam, it's not a cloud. There's a complete different definition for a cloud than there is a chemical cloud, which is a man-made, well, I can give you the exact definition of it, but basically it's a man-made atmospheric condition. Has nothing to do with the cloud. That's totally separate. So it's going to take a while. I mean, you know, it cracks me up. They won't frack during a football game, but they'll frack anyway.
Yeah, I mean, and I live, you know, less than half a mile, and I have to keep watching the winds, and I have a discrepancy between the wind vane in my backyard and the one that's at the Ranger Stadium that's online. That's why I didn't protest just a half hour this morning at City Hall, because I kept watching the winds, and I'm like, well, gosh, I don't know if that frac stand is blowing towards me from the Truman site and how far it goes. But if that fine dust can go a mile, oh my God. And I saw a video last night of it magnified. You can't see it. It's that fine.
What? You can't see what?
You can't see it. If what's not in the white cloud that is still in the air is almost invisible to the naked eye.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I looked at the video this morning, and I was just appalled. They've got these new Facebook sites that are against frack mining, and that's where I saw it this morning. And they magnified it because yeah. So I'm afraid of what I can't see.
You can see like the air like vibrating, right? Because I mean, if it's hot enough, it actually won't. The steam that you get is a differential between what's external and internal heat. You know, the white fluffy looking stuff, or the white stuff. If it's hot enough, outside and it's hot enough, well, I should say, if the differential between the two temperatures, surface temperature and subsurface temperature, isn't great enough, you won't see particulates forming into that white area, but you'll still see an enormous amount of like heat coming out of there, and the heat being that waves that it gets, like in the summertime in the desert.
Like a desert mirage,
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like you still see like heat, but you don't see puffy white emission.
And it's in that too.
That's just because the puffy white is actually, that's more like the differential that you get where water particulates are forming.
Oh.
But if it's hot enough, it doesn't form that. It's just pure, clear particulates is the best way. Well, clear emission. That's right.
Would that be a 2.5 particulate, or I mean, I know there's different sizes.
Easily less. We can be looking at 0.5. We can be looking at nanoparticles. Yeah. Gosh. We can be looking at 1.0 in this stuff.
Yeah, and I just kept clearing my throat when they started up. My husband and I both saying we're having throat issues. Kind of feels like our adenoids are swollen or something.
Yeah, that's a lot of the sulfur compounds that we get around that area. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. You have to watch all sorts of things. But yeah, I mean, to tell people to stay inside. Sometimes the air inside winds up getting so bad that it's not even better.
Well, how do I, if my air conditioner is running, my husband said it's only recirculating the air that's in the house. If we keep the doors and windows closed, I mean, I feel like I'm not bringing in any of that air.
Well, but you are, because the air conditioner actually does bring in air from outside as well. It doesn't just you have an intake valve and what do they call it, an intake and something else. So it actually has to bring in air from outside.
Ooh, I better go turn off my air conditioning unit right now. Oh my gosh.
Well, it's all, there's just not an easy answer. I mean, I tell people, the worst thing you can do when you have high emissions is lock your house down. But then again, what's your alternative? Open it up? And the best thing to do is open it up after an event. Keep your house basically closed down as much as possible. But after an event, open your house up, blow the air conditioner for 24 hours if you can blow it with all the windows wide open. But, that's anticipating that the air is better by then. So it's really a hard dilemma. It depends on the house. It depends are you getting direct emissions from that location? I don't remember which way your house is.
I'm to the west, but I've been, seeing the winds whip around, and just a couple times I went outside, my eyes started watering, and I've been clearing my throat a whole lot, so I just can't help but feel I'm getting it.
Oh yeah, there's no question.
My bird is coughing a lot more too. She's sneezing a lot more.
Yeah, and it's hard because the winds do whip. That's what I always hope when there's a fracking operation around, is that we just have super high winds, because at least it's not that plume that just hangs over everybody's house. But weather conditions the way they are recently, they've been pretty still. It just kind of depends on the day.
Yeah, and so what happens when it's really still? Does it just stay over the site?
No, it doesn't stay over the site. It stays over the area.
It's been very, very, very still for a few days that I've been watching.
Yeah, no, it hangs in the whole area. Now, when I say the whole area, it'll go even a half mile and just hang. Because what happens is, let me just give you a visual concept. When the stuff comes out, it's super, super hot. Hot air rises. Then it gets to a point, 1,000 feet up there, which isn't that high. It's only 10 stories. It starts to cool. And when it cools, it falls back down to the earth. So the hot air rising will give you a few hundred feet, maybe 1,000 feet. And then all of a sudden there's this horrible, we call it the sweet spot, which is kind of a terrible term, but it's the sweet spot about somewhere between 1,800 feet to 2,500 feet away from the facility, where atmospheric conditions start to alter the chemicals. We get toluene breaking down to benzene, which is obviously identified as the most hazardous chemical coming out of the stuff. And things start to fall about that area.
Damn.
That's why I'm seeing the largest leukemia clusters in that 18 to 2,500 foot range, depending on the wind direction. You always have to remember that, depending on the wind direction. So people are like, well, I didn't get it, and I'm directly south of there. Well, right, because the winds usually blow in the summertime out of the southeast, so I would anticipate that people out of in the northwest will have this pocket of leukemia clusters, because that's the people that got hit the worst.